There you go.
Good morning, everybody. Here we are Hangout with Social Heroes. First of all, let me introduce the Social Heroes, or I'll let them introduce themselves. And we have 3 agents and a district manager's office here hanging out with us today. And we're pretty excited to be able to chat with everybody. And they have some questions for us, and we just wanted to find out a little bit about how they're working with social media and kind of figure out how we can help other people. We figured other agents probably have a lot of the same questions. So let's start off. If we move to the left of the screen, Angela, you'd be first in introducing yourself.
Okay, I'm Angela Johnson. I'm an agent, farmer's agent in Friendswood, Texas, and member of the Social Heroes. That's it. Tracy.
See, who's next here?
Tracy.
Hi, I'm Tracy Grossman. I'm fully licensed CSR. My husband, Glenn Grossman, the agent, and I have been at this 4 years. Social media, about a year since they started encouraging us to get involved.
Awesome.
We can move on to Rebecca.
Well, hi, I'm Rebecca. This is my first time on here, so I'm a little overwhelmed. I'm with the district office. I've been with the Farmers District Office for about 11 years, and just work in training support for our local agents, and also marketing support, so that includes social networking as well.
And Rebecca, what state are you in?
Iowa.
Perfect. Okay, Nadeem?
Nadeem Damani from Houston, part of the Social Heroes, and a farmer's agent.
Mike?
Mike Chmizik from Denver, Colorado, part of the Social Heroes, and a farmer's insurance agent for 5 years.
Perfect. And then we have Mike, the other Mike.
Yeah, hi, Mike Benz, Austin, Texas. Been an agent for about 2.5 years, involved in social media for several years, but really just getting serious about it in the last 6 to 8 months.
But you're very familiar with farmers, Mike.
Yes, absolutely. I've been with the company right out of college, actually, 25 years.
Awesome. That's pretty cool.
Keith Wanowski, a social hero out of Franklin, Tennessee, also an agent for farmers for the last 10 years, and been heavily involved in social media since 2007.
Perfect. And then we have the last but not least, Jim.
Hi, I'm Jim Clemens. I don't think I'm working here.
You're working.
You are.
Oh, am I? Okay. I'm Jim Clemens. I'm a farmer's agent in Scottsdale, Arizona. I've been an agent for 3 years, and I've been involved in social media for since agent page kind of launched, and just trying to get some traction and make my pages grow. So.
You skipped Joel.
What about Joel?
Joel,
hey, you forgot me, Renee. Whatever.
how do you miss him? He blocks out a Ferris wheel.
I know.
So I'm Joel McKinnon from New Philly, Ohio. I've been an agent with farmers for 10 years right out of college, and I'm a member of Social Heroes.
Perfect. So for those of you that are watching this, it's a recorded Hangout, actually through Google+. There may be some technical issues, as we discovered when we first tried to get everybody on board here, but we're going to try and roll with this. And I'm going to start with Angela. I know that you've discussed a few things with these guys, so I'll let you roll with it.
Okay, so first of all, we have, let's start with some questions that Tracy has. And I'd like to start with your LinkedIn question, Tracy. You want to go ahead and ask it?
Yes, I'm going to paraphrase because I don't have it in front of me. The agent, specifically Glenn, would like to know what it's good for. We understand as a result of the seminar that it's great for checking on people's professional affiliations for discounts and whatnot, but other than a who's who, is it appropriate for contacting real estate agents and mortgage lenders, or how should we use it?
Okay, great question. And I just typed in the chat, if you're not talking, let's all try muting. Maybe that will help with the echo. But Mike Schmizik, would you like to take that question?
Yeah.
You're the LinkedIn prep.
I mean, my opinion on LinkedIn is that most realtors and mortgage brokers who set up a LinkedIn profile, they're doing it to expand their network, to meet new people. I'd say it's completely appropriate to meet new people through LinkedIn. Within LinkedIn, if you just start requesting to connect with people that are complete strangers, a lot of people are probably going to turn you down. And I would look at potentially who you have in common. So if you find a really successful realtor in your area and you have 2 or 3 mutual connections, I would reach out to those connections and see if they could make the introduction. But if you're on LinkedIn, I think that you're there to be contacted in a lot of ways.
And Mike, you have your staff reaching out to people, I think, that you're already connected to, realtors and mortgage brokers. Can you explain what your staff does with your LinkedIn requests and setting up lunches? Like, what should Glenn be and Tracy be saying as they approach these people on LinkedIn?
You know, I would look at their profile to begin with, just to see are they open to making new connections? Because when you set up your LinkedIn profile, it asks you who's okay to contact you, and it might say, like, I'm looking for business deals, I'm looking to make new connections. So anyone on there that has on their LinkedIn profile that they're looking to make new connections, we have my marketer in my office reaching out to those people, as well as working with my first connections, just setting up one-to-one meetings with those people just to see how we could help each other grow our business. So I do have a marketer within my office who is calling completely cold commercial leads, completely cold personal leads, but then I'm also having that person calling within LinkedIn as well.
So, Tracy, what kind of follow-up questions do you have from that?
Let's see. Am I muted?
No, you're good.
There we go. I think up till now, he's been kind of like, my impression is that he's been blasting, for lack of a better word, realtors and mortgage lenders, explaining a referral program that we have. And I don't think it's being met with any success, and so at least he doesn't think so. He doesn't understand social media at all, really. And should I discourage him from doing that? Should I have him stop and then concentrate on one-to-one meetings, as you just suggested?
Can I answer that?
Yeah.
One of the things that I'm doing recently is I'm using LinkedIn and Facebook to connect with realtors and mortgage broker to get in front of them using the program called Recamp. Have you guys heard of it, or do you all use that? It's a program, Recamp. It's RECAMP, Recamp. It's a program which is it's being very helpful for me recently, because the program basically markets, it helps you market the realtor, it helps you to build their business, basically sending out postcards and not postcards, but marketing pieces on their behalf to the clients that they send you. So basically the program is a self-contained program which helps you build the business for the realtor. So when I approach them through LinkedIn or Facebook and I present this program to them, they are very receptive to meet, and once they meet, it's a very good way to connect with them, like continue the connection through social media. So that recently that's been working for me really well. So it's a combination of social media and the program called Recamp. And you can Google it, and there's a lot more details on it on the web for that program.
But that just goes back to really your question, Tracy, that even that is not blanketing realtors. Nadim's connecting one at a time.
Okay.
One at a time, ask them for lunch,
Personally.
meeting them in person, presenting it, and then continue the communication through social media. So it's not like blanketing, like it's not a shotgun approach like what Angela is saying. It's more like a rifle approach.
Understood. So you're keeping it local then, people that you can actually sit down with.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. I think social media overall, when you look at social media overall, if you look at it as a shotgun approach, it's not very effective. It's more like a rifle with a very powerful scope, and pinpoint your targets, and then, hunt them one at a time, basically.
Oh my gosh. Okay, and then another thing that I wanted to share that my agency does with LinkedIn, and Tracy, you might already do this, is connect with our current clients. I know we talked about that in the seminar, and you mentioned it in your question that you wrote in, that you're looking for opportunities for affinity discounts and things, but it's part of our onboarding checklist for a new household to connect with them on LinkedIn. So everybody in the office has my personal LinkedIn login and password, and they connect with each of their new clients to me, just to position me as the insurance authority, an insurance professional. They can look at my profile and see basically my resume. Okay. So Renee, you want to? Oh.
Yeah, I'm going to ask a question real quick. Of the other or DMs that are on here, do you use LinkedIn at all? And I know that we use it mostly for looking up some of our current clients to see like where they've worked and what their history is, because that's a lot of information. But you other agents, have you tried LinkedIn, and are you active on it?
Jim, do you use LinkedIn?
Yeah, I do use LinkedIn, and I try to connect with local realtors and mortgage brokers, like Nadim said. But it seems like I get solicited for more sales than I get contacted for anything else. So I'm probably not using the right approach. So I would like to get better about that.
Yeah, I get a lot of messages from people like restoration companies and things
leads,
like that.
All the people that sell leads are all just,
Yeah.
trying to sell me leads.
Yeah.
So
I do scan it, looking for current customers a lot, and make sure I'm asking them to connect. That's my most active activity to date. Just making sure I'm looking through the long lists for people I recognize, or trying to build up my connections, I guess.
Yeah.
I'll make a statement too. Something that we just did too. We've connected, of course, with other sales agents, other insurance agents, not just necessarily with farmers that we rep, but outside of farmers. We just got a lead yesterday from an independent agent in Arizona who has a property investor in Ohio buying properties, and because of the relationship and connecting with him, knowing that we're a sales professional that knows what we're doing and talking about in this state, he's referring his clients to us here in Ohio. So it's not just people that can bring you business outside of our industry, it's connecting people inside the industry as well.
So they found you on LinkedIn versus the Farmers Network?
Yes. Just because I'm part of a insurance group within LinkedIn. You see a lot of groups that form. I'm part of a group in there, and they saw that we're in Ohio and actively commenting and are sending them our way because of that. And what you'll also see a lot of times too is people may not, within those groups, people may not specifically say, Tracy, can we contact you? They'll put a general post out there looking for an agent in this state or this community, and then it's about responding the quickest and being the first one to say, hey, I'm in that area, I can help. We've gotten a couple leads. I'm almost shocked at the number of leads we get from outside of Ohio from other agents coming in. We've been averaging a couple a week recently because of connecting with other network groups outside of Ohio.
So engaging in those LinkedIn groups sounds very important.
And that would be a good way to get to know realtors also.
Absolutely.
Yeah, to actually develop at least some type of a starting point relationship. If you walked into a networking group, a BNI meeting or a Chamber of Commerce meeting, you wouldn't just throw your cards in the air. And so you kind of have to think of social media the same way you would go up and introduce yourself to each person one at a time and, do the 4 family, occupation, recreation, enjoyment, kind of thing with them. And that's what you have to do online too. Mike Benz, how do you use LinkedIn if you do? Yes,
So actually what I've just started doing is learning more about it. I worked on getting my profile optimized. I actually plugged into um, an online training program, a portal. It's called Linked U, Linked University. If you just go in there and type Linked U, you'll get all sorts of hits on it. But I got an email with an invite to a webinar, and this guy, he knows what he's doing. He's got, I don't know, 30,000 some connections and gets 200 searches a day. So the first thing I did was learn how to optimize my profile. And once I did that, if you go in there and you type in life insurance, I'm on the first page now. So I'm just kind of getting started on that. And then there's a whole bunch of modules in there about lead generation and drip marketing and campaigns that you can do in a professional way. And then I'm going to use Recamp with it too, just like Nadine said.
What are a couple of the things that you did to optimize your profile?
So really it's just about keywords, right? I mean, you have to think about insurance and what you write and the types of insurance that you do. And then there's several areas on the profile, like the description, you know, basically any area you can put data into where you're talking about what you've done or what you do or what you specialize in. Just always think about what those 6 or 7 or 8 keywords are and just use them. You can't overdo it because then it looks weird. But if you just kind of think about that, write out what those keywords are, and then integrate that into all those sections, you'll find yourself coming up higher and higher in those search results, which is, I think, really important.
So life insurance is one of those keywords that you selected?
Yes.
For you. That would be a smart one to select.
What about, aren't we fairly limited when it comes to things like financial services? You know, Glenn, we've only been agents for about 4.5 years. So his experience is he is a CPA. So financial services is something we're very well suited to. However, it's so limited as to what we can say.
Yeah.
So,
and also be sure on LinkedIn, those LinkedIn messaging, you cannot put anything about financial products or services. You'll get a nice note from FFS immediately, even though it's a private message. So, but I mean, you saying that his background is a CPA, I would think, I don't know, do you have the affinity discount for CPAs in Arizona?
oh yes.
So those groups would be great to join. There are several CPA groups where he could really contribute to that conversation, you know, professionally as a CPA and from an insurance perspective. But
yeah, I think that was something that we were focusing on with respect to our resumes. Both of us have long years of other professional work, but we've been downplaying that because we're trying to do insurance. Like I was a geologist, so who cares? But you know, so that's good. Good pointer there on the CPA thing.
Yeah. Okay, so if we let's move on to Rebecca. And does your district office use LinkedIn for any type of recruiting or anything like that, or maybe how your agents are using LinkedIn?
Yeah, our district office does use it for recruiting purposes. I'm not in the recruiting department, so I'm not exactly sure how our gal Jamie does that exactly, but I will get the messages when she sends out. I'm pretty sure she does it on a blast basis. I don't think she's really targeting here and there. She will include people that are nominators in our area, people that we currently talk to about the opportunity, and that way kind of just reinforces what we're already saying on a personal level to those people. Our agents, honestly, Facebook has been challenging enough for them, so getting them to move over to LinkedIn is kind of another whole new language for them to get in on. We have a few that are, but I don't know that they're using it to the level that some of you are talking about. I've been taking some notes here on different things that you're using it for, and I think it's great, so I'm just going to be a sponge today.
Yeah, awesome. And, you know, I think for me as an agent and just a person, LinkedIn is more intuitive than Facebook. You get to, like on Facebook, you know, kind of etiquette, and anybody correct me if, or jump in if you have more to add, but Facebook, you don't want to over promote yourself and how great you are. I mean, it's better for like a district manager to say, look what Jim did. This is what he was able to accomplish and help with his family. But LinkedIn is the place to do that. So what comes natural to us as salespeople is what you do on LinkedIn, I think. So it's really a lot easier. For me, it was a lot easier for me to pick up LinkedIn than all the etiquette and stuff of Facebook.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So I think if they get started, they'll find it, user-friendly.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, any other questions on LinkedIn? All right. So here is a super huge question that we get a lot, most frequently asked question, and this came from Tracy. Once I have all my different social media parts set up, how do I manage them without it taking all of my time? Keith, you want to take that one?
Well, that's a great question. I mean, that is probably the number one question we get all the time as far as from agents, as far as how to manage your time, doing everything else we have as far as in our lives, from running an agency to, you know, having a life, to also, you know, getting on the social media platforms. And my recommendation is, first of all, depending on where you're at in your social media life, you know, we've mentioned this, at least I've mentioned it many times, is, you know, how do you eat an elephant is one bite at a time. You know, start out small, you know, start with Facebook if you've never done anything before, and start building your Facebook profile, building up, you know, inviting your clients as far as to be friends and that kind of stuff. And then the biggest thing, and I know Mike Schmizik has mentioned this many times, is when we're talking about not having enough time, when you really think about it, all of us do have time, even mobile. If we're out, you know, driving to, you know, an event, or we're waiting in line at the bank as far as to make a deposit, we can open up our mobile app on Facebook, and we can respond to people. We can actually check our feeds, that kind of stuff. So there's always ways to find time as far as to get engaged with social. I personally, you know, not only have Facebook up all day long as far as at my office, as well as my staff does, but I also use an application called Hootsuite that really allows me to break down all of my social media platforms on one app, and I just find it makes it very easy as far as to be able to manage it all in one place. So that's one way as far as that I try to manage my time a little bit more efficiently by using Hootsuite.
What about, well, what do you mean by using Hootsuite?
Well, with Hootsuite, again, I can set up all of my platforms from my Twitter account, my Facebook account, my personal Facebook page, my Google+, my LinkedIn, all on one place. And so I can just open up Hootsuite, click through the different tabs. I can see as far as who's commenting, what's in my streams. I can comment on those all from within Hootsuite in one place.
And they have a mobile app, right?
Yep, yeah, they do. It works not only on Android, but also on the Apple products as far as their mobile apps for Hootsuite. Work on both of those as well, yeah.
Nadeem, can you talk a little about notifications and maybe how you do your settings so that you're not constantly having to check, but if someone sends you a message or a post on your page or something, then you are notified?
Sure. Basically, you know, the question is valid because when you're setting up your networks, it requires a lot of time. But once your networks are set up and you have a certain number of followers, then it's more like a maintenance thing, just kind of like your email. You know, you may have 2,000 people on your email contact list, but you may not talk to them all the time. So what Angela is referring to is, if your notifications are set up properly where it's not ringing all the time, and if, like, for example, I have 40,000 people on my Twitter, but I'm not spending all my day on Twitter. I'm only responding to maybe 5 or 6 or 10 people who are trying to connect with me on Twitter per day. So that 10 notifications can be handled at my own convenience. You don't, I mean, and people understand if somebody inbox you, they don't expect an immediate response. You know, you can respond them in the afternoon. If they inbox you in the morning, you can always get back with them. But I look at social media as more like, you know, you have all these tentacles out, you know, like an octopus. You never know what's going to catch what, you know. Sometimes you might get a deal from, you know, from Facebook. Sometimes you may have a deal from LinkedIn that may land in your inbox. And then you check it and respond to it, you know, at your convenience. Of course, you know, you want to do it on the same day, because that's kind of like expectation on social media. You know, you don't want to wait like 3-4 days. If somebody's asking for life insurance, you probably want to, you know, you can prioritize that. Like sometimes if somebody connects with me about life insurance, I want to go back immediately and, you know, grab that deal. So I kind of prioritize that. If somebody's just trying to connect with you, then you can probably take your time. But you know, my notifications are set. Everything is on silent. I mean, if I keep it ringing all the time, my phone will be ringing like nonstop. But you know, with that many people on your network, you just prioritize it, and then you kind of check in when you have time, and then you go case by case basis. So I've been able to manage, you know, fairly large amount of followers, you know, who are trying to reach me, or I'm trying to reach them. So it's manageable if you have if you set certain disciplines and parameters how you want to handle it. So it can be done.
But Nadeem, you also use Twitter lists, and I think you segment your Facebook too. Like I've started hiding people on Facebook, so I still want to be friends with them on like my personal. I still want to be friends with them, but if they post a lot of stuff or they're always sharing, there are some people who share like 20 things a day. I can't. I think there was a study that you really can only care about 20 to 25 people. You cannot care about 40,000 people. So I've started hiding people, so I'm still friends with them, and I can go look at what they're doing if I have free time, but they don't always show up in my feed. So Nadeem, you segment people a lot like that.
I do. And by the way, that study was 300 people.
Oh, 300. But I'm an introvert, so I'm down to like 25.
Yeah, I get it. I'm glad I'm not outside that 30 parameter. But you know, yeah, I normally segment. I have lists on Facebook as well as on all my networks. For example, Twitter, I have several different lists where, like, you cannot, of course, you cannot physically. I mean, it's just not impossible to follow all 40,000 of them. But you know, you have like a couple of hundred or 300 that you follow, you know, closely, and in each of the networks you can segment them. So on Twitter, I have it segmented. Like for example, I have a list for realtors, Houston realtors. So everybody on that list, I want to see closely what these Houston realtors are talking about and look for engagement opportunities. And same thing on Facebook. So, you know, like Angela said, some people share so much that, you know, they can occupy your whole wall. So you can actually go in and tweak it where you may not see their post, so you unfollow them, but you're still friends with them. So that those kind of things can be used to make it more manageable. And what Keith was saying earlier about Hootsuite, that's a great tool. Using tools like that, you know, using it to once you start growing, use that to maximize your time properly.
Real quick, Renee, can you talk about what first of all, you use your staff, which we talked about at Social Media Day, but if you could touch on how Terry sets up all of your posts in Hearsay, and then they post everywhere like once a week, but she schedules it.
Yeah, that was going to be my my next add-in, was a shout-out to Hearsay and Agent Page, because they truly do save us a lot of time. Terry probably spends about 30 minutes a month, literally, making posts and uploading them into Hearsay. We don't use a lot of their posts. We use our own, but we create them and we can upload them and schedule them out through Hearsay. It'll go to it'll go to LinkedIn, Twitter, Pinterest, and Facebook. And then what happens is in between those scheduled posts, we'll add something personal during the week that's going on that week, right? So we interact during the week on the side, but we can upload everything within, it literally is about 30 minutes a month, and it'll schedule out the whole month. So a huge time saver. If you're scared about getting into Hootsuite or not really sure about it, I would at least start with Agent Page and Hearsay and get that going.
Which is part of in the farmer's dashboard. Do you know where that is, Tracy?
Yes, I use that all the time. I actually do schedule posts in advance, but only a week, and then I'm trying to add my own too.
Yeah. Okay. So what did we not hit on about managing your time? That you might.
I think where I'm at is that I have everything set up. After the seminar, I mean, I have an account everywhere. I have the beginning of a blog. I have the beginning of a Google page, so that's another subject. And I'm trying to, I guess, I think the Hootsuite is probably, I have that set up too, so I think that's a biggie right there, something where I can see everything at once, and I guess, like setting up a blog seems like a big deal to me. I haven't got it going yet, so I think you answered it in many ways. I think Hootsuite is probably my best takeaway in terms of being able to have an overview. And then I think the rest of the tips are going to be excellent in terms of just managing that information.
Okay. Jim, how much time do you spend on your social media kind of digital presence a day or a week? How do you
I find myself checking and looking at things more often than I should, and I keep Facebook up and watch it, but what I try to do is on the weekends I use the Agent Page and Hearsay Social to schedule posts out as well, and that's, I schedule it out and then I forget about it sometimes because it's posting for me, and then I notice nothing's posting on my pages, so that kind of reminds me to get back in there and do something and schedule out some more posts. So
yeah,
probably about an hour on the weekends I might spend working on that.
So I think once you come up with a strategy, which Mike Schmizik is really good at, like, this is what his marketers do each day. They connect with this many people, and they try to set appointments, and they, do X, Y, Z, and he just has a daily checklist for them to do. Then it just kind of goes all on automatic, because it's important to have everything, all of your presence set up, but then you really want to start monetizing it and not just looking at whose grandmother went into the hospital or something like that. Which I find myself doing.
For example, I use pods. I use pods to help track that kind of stuff, and it really is nice because I have a list of things to do every single day, and every day there is some type of social media stuff put into that. So a lot of times if I'm sitting at my desk, if I'm not leaving the office for lunch, I might publish a blog, or if I just don't feel like making a phone call, or I'm trying to avoid something every single day. So it's a mixture of marketing and passive marketing and other things, but it's to really force yourself to get engaged every day with social media.
I was going to say one last thing on that is that, we have 117 followers on Facebook. We've got 3 people following my tweets, and I'm just getting started kind of a thing, and it's like there really isn't much to monitor, so I don't know, it's like you're not really talking to anybody yet.
I would say there may not be much to monitor, but you got to be active. You got to make sure you're constantly putting, like Mike was saying, putting out a blog post, a Facebook post, something on Twitter to stay consistent with the messages that you're delivering. And I've for a long time used the analogy, if you've ever seen the Field of Dreams, if you build it, they will come. Nothing was social is immediate. And the Dean talked about that. It's not shotgunning. It's down the barrel of a rifle, picking your targets. It's not about the mass quantities, how many you have. It's the quality of what you have. And staying consistent with what you're doing is what's most important. And then when somebody does reach out to you, being able to have rapid response times, so setting up notifications on your phone or your mobile device so that you can be alerted when somebody is reaching to you and not notice it 5, 10, 20 days later, when they've already moved on to something else.
Okay, we have about 5 minutes left. So you had a question, Tracy, about Google Plus, which I don't know that 5 minutes is going to be long enough to give you a full answer. But why don't you go ahead and ask away?
Okay, so I'm going to read this one. Well, basically, here, I'll paraphrase that too. Google Plus, I have a presence, and I know I have a page that I think I can understand. However, when I go into the forum or whatever, I feel like it's this mosaic of all these people and things dropping in that I don't know who they are. I don't know, really random topics. I don't know if I'm in the right place. It seems so random that I don't know if I'm even in the right place. So it confuses me, and almost seems, I don't know, it just confuses me. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing there.
Yeah. I'm going to pass this off to somebody else, so be thinking of your answer, heroes. But what I think the most valuable part of G Plus is setting up your Google Place so that it elevates your search engine optimization if somebody is searching for insurance in your area. So who would like to add on to that?
Mike, why don't you talk a little bit about this? You've done a lot as far as the SEO side of this with Google Places and even Google authorship and stuff that can kind of tie Google Plus and everything Google related together. Because
it's a little.
No, go ahead.
It's a little difficult to answer your question without really looking at how you have your Google Plus set up. But Google Plus is really, in my opinion, almost like a mixture between Twitter and Facebook, where you can put someone else in a circle, and they don't necessarily have to, reciprocate and you in a circle as well. So the first thing you want to do is set up various circles, and they're similar to lists that you might have in Twitter. So you have a circle of maybe other agents from around the country, maybe people from a different networking group or people from your neighborhood, and then you can kind of dictate what you're going to see. Like if you're just starting to follow all kinds of people and you're not segregating them into different circles, you're just going to start seeing every single thing. So that's one of the neat things about Google Plus is that you can pick who you want to share certain things with, but then you can also pick what kind of stuff you want to show up within your newsfeed.
I was going to interject there. So I really only on Google Plus because everybody said I need to get on Google Plus, and because I know I need the presence, right? I think that's what most of us use. I don't use it for anything else except to have a presence and to get connected to where I'm supposed, the platform that I'm supposed to be connected on, and Hangout. That's really the only time that I use it. So I think it's a necessary evil. Not that it's evil, but I don't spend any time on it besides what we're doing here. Does that make sense?
I feel like I'm being paparazzi. Does that help? Does that make sense to everybody? Any kind of quick questions about G+?
I just have a quick comment on G+, is that I have used it in the past, not very extensively, but I have used it to make new connections. And one thing I noticed about that is the people who use it regularly are very die-hard, like G+ people, Google people, and they're very engaging. So to engage them, I mean, there is a lot more engagement going on G+. If you learn it and use it, it can be very valuable for making new connections. So that's one thing I know. I've got a lot of friends that I found actually through G+, who are now my Facebook friends. So I kind of moved them eventually to Facebook, because like Renee, that's what I use primarily. But G+ is a good place to go out and meet some very engaged and very interesting people. And a lot of realtors are on it too. So I think it can be a good source, definitely.
Okay, well, that is all that we have time for today. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining, and have a great day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Angela. And Renee and
How do I stop this?
I can't stop my hand.
I can't stop my Hangout. How do I stop the recording?
We need a session.